Welcome back to the Michigan State Hockey Hub. As the season's just about to get started, we wanted to get a player interview in here. I was expecting to do more this offseason, but was traveling and a bit busy. But we do have one. We're going to join Tiernan Shoudy now. Shoudy, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just got done with practice, so just got back home.
Okay, how long does an average practice take on a day like today?
Well, today was a bit longer. We went about an hour and a half, but usually it's well, right now we got some hours restrictions, so we're doing like 45 minutes to an hour every day usually. But then we'll have like days where we'll just do without the coaches because some days like they're not allowed to come out and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
usually about an hour though every day, I'd say, and then we lift after for about an hour, a little over an hour. So
Who lifts the most on the team?
lifts the most. Oh
Okay, no,
gosh.
okay. Before you answer that, two different. Who lifts the most weight, and who's always in the weight room? That could be two different people.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Dorwart can lift a lot. He's in there a lot. Basgill's in there a lot. He can lift a lot. Neen Nash, he can lift a lot. And like obviously like he's like a bit smaller too, but he can lift a lot for sure. And then I'd say like a new guy that can lift a lot is Manisto. This guy looks like a bodybuilder. Like he's massive. It's kind of crazy. He can jump out of the gym too. Like we do jump tests, and this guy, like, he's insane. So I think he's up there for sure. One of the new guys. So
That's awesome. Yeah, and we'll get into the new guys. We'll talk about the roster. I know there's a million new names. We'll get into that, but first, I kind of want to talk about your freshman year. But even before that, you're a Michigan guy. You grew up a Michigan State fan. Is that right?
yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. I mean, I
Now,
committed when I was like 15 too. So like I've been here. I've been committed for a while. So
yeah. So you committed under Coach Cole, correct?
yep. Yeah.
When the coaching change happened, you were still able to come in. I know that's not always the case,
Yeah.
but it says a lot about your skill and your play style that it matched. Um, you were, with that first class under Nightingale, and obviously, I mean, a really successful season. And you played in every single game last year,
Yeah.
which has to be kind of tough. And I always like to hear players talk about that first year of college and that change. And what's the biggest change that you noticed from juniors and whatnot into college? Is it speed, size? What is it?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both for sure. Like everyone's a lot bigger and stronger, and like, I mean, especially coming from like you're one of the older guys and juniors, then you're coming back to one of the young guys. Like you're really young in college, so it's kind of different. And obviously, different teams are a little bit older and younger for sure. But I mean, the teams that are younger, they're usually faster, and like the game is just played at such a high pace. Like you don't really have time to, I don't know, stick handle, look around where you want your next play is. Like you got to already know where the next play is going, and that's I think something that Nighty's been really good with is kind of instilling that in like not just me but everyone, like all of our practices. Like we start with 2 drills where you can't be stick handling around. Like you got to be knowing where the next play is going, and that's something that I had to kind of grow in and play, like just like playing the game at a faster pace. Like you don't have time to really be thinking a ton out there. You got to already know where the next play is going. So I think that's something that's a lot different in college for sure.
Now, when you came in last year, you scored pretty quickly right off the bat. I'm sure you remember your first goal, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I remember I scored in the exhibition game, but that was like, I mean, that was all Nico. I think it was Nico and Jally. They just like set me up on the back door. It was an easy one, but it
You
felt
can't
really
count it
good.
though, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, you can't actually, but like that was technically my first goal. And then
Yeah.
the Bowling Green game, I think I scored at Bowling Green, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just
So
really good play by Tanner and kind of
yeah,
lucky enough to
so
score that goal.
I live in Kentucky, but I was at the home and home Bowling Green. So
Yeah,
I was at the game in Bowling
yeah.
Green. And I actually like that barn. It's kind of cool. Like it's a little bit older and not like super fancy or anything, but that place was rocking.
No, it was actually a really good atmosphere, and that was kinda like my first true, like, road atmosphere in
Yeah.
college, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy," and
I was
I didn't know
shocked.
what I was expecting going into Bowling Green, but they had a really good atmosphere. Like, it was a fun game.
I've been to a few away rings, probably 5 or 6. I was at the game at Miami, Ohio last year as
Yeah,
well. And it's funny how different the environments are. Like Bowling Green was like bumping, they had the lights off, they're
super
serving
rowdy.
beers and stuff. Like it is
Yeah,
rowdy. and the student section is in it. And then you go to Miami, Ohio, and it's like a really nice rink, a
Yeah.
little oversized for their fan base. Well, I know they've not been
Yeah.
great recently and whatnot, but it's crazy how different the atmospheres are.
For sure.
It's pretty cool. What was the toughest atmosphere that you played in last year?
Oh.
Michigan's
Michigan's
weird.
up there for sure. I don't it's kind of like it's a different rink because obviously an older rink. It just doesn't I feel like the fans are like right on top. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty tough one. I mean, even Bowling Green is up there for sure, I think, just because like they're super rowdy and like we're warming up and their student section's right there and they're all like trying to like talk to you while you're warming up and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Especially being my first one. I'm like, oh gosh, like this is a bit crazy. So I'd say those two are up there. I mean, we didn't really when we went to Penn State, they were on break, so they didn't really have their whole student section. So I can't really like say whether or not like I don't know what it would be like because other guys say
Yeah.
like that place is crazy usually, but they didn't have their student section because their students were on break. So I don't know. I think Penn State would be up there for sure though. Like
Yeah.
they got
Penn
a
State's
cool barn too.
I haven't been to Penn State. I've been to Michigan. That one is, but man, Bowling Green was just. And do you know what? I guess it's an advantage for them, but when you walk out of that locker room,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. It's just like a area that they have like curtains up, isn't it? Like it didn't even
Yeah, it
look like a
is.
locker room for what I could
No,
see.
well, there's a locker room in like there's 2 locker rooms in there, and then, like, you walk out and there's a little, like, common area, and then it's the curtain.
Yeah,
So, like, we do have a locker room, though. Like, we had stalls and stuff like that.
it seemed a little like they do it on purpose to be intimidating, but you all have to like walk right by. Like there's obviously like a rope or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
but you all are walking right by. Like I was standing right there. The
Yeah.
coaches are walking like through the stands to get to the bench. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of a
Yeah.
crazy
It's
atmosphere.
kinda cool, though. I actually liked playing there a lot. Like, I didn't know what to expect going into Bowling Green, but I liked it a lot, actually.
And
It is an older barn, but it was cool. It was a good atmosphere.
that was the first win for Nightingale, I believe. I know it was the first road win. I think that was the first win.
Yeah, I can't did we are they the first weekend or no? Did we yeah, they were the first weekend, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so we
was.
lost at home and then we won over there, yeah.
Yeah. And that was just a fun game to be at for sure. What was the
Yeah.
highlight of your freshman year? If you could pick one moment, one game, there's one that I have in mind that I think you'll say, but
Yeah.
I want to see if you'll say it.
I mean, like, highlight, I would say is, like, beating Michigan. Obviously, like, I scored, so that helps a little
Yeah.
bit, but I'd say beating them was definitely the highlight. Like, I just, like, watching the rivalry, like, I don't know, it's just so different playing in it, and, like, when you're in that atmosphere, like, with our fans, like, they're going crazy, and, like, obviously, like, everyone knows it's heightened expectations and stuff like that playing against Michigan, so I'd say beating them, especially that being our first game, and, like, I know we've struggled against them in the past, so, like, I wish we would've beat them a little more last year, but, that one I'd say is up there,
Yeah,
and then
I was
I really like the Notre Dame series too in the playoffs. That was a huge win for us, huge playoff
well,
series
I
win
was
for
sitting there
us.
thinking about like just moments from last year, and like the goal that you scored against Michigan was like one of the highlights of the entire season, and that game was just awesome.
Yeah.
It is funny. You play one of my like favorite styles of hockey. Like you're willing to do anything. You're fast.
Yeah.
You can be aggressive. And my wife does not know a single thing about hockey.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like doesn't know what icing is. Nothing. And we were watching a game, and she's on TikTok or whatever, and she's just kind of glancing up, and she's like, "Who's number 13?" Because and I was like, "Why?" She's like, "I don't know. He's fast. I think he's my favorite player now." And I was like, "Okay, there it
Yeah,
is."
that's
So
funny.
I guess your style can, everyone can kind of point it out. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
But
kinda funny too because I remember my brother came to like, my older brother came to a few games, and he was like, "Why like, these random people, like, they just, like, love you out there," and I was like, "Dude," I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, like, I don't know why," and, like, the same thing kinda happened in juniors too, where it was like, obviously, like, I'm not, like, the goal scorer, like, scoring all the goals and stuff like that, but he was like, for whatever reason, I think they just like that you, like, kinda, like, I don't know, stir the pot, I guess, and, like, people are coming to watch hockey, like, they love that
yeah,
stuff, so
so
I guess
like
that's kinda it.
it's funny because this transitions well. I love watching you play, and I love watching Tanner Kelly play
Yeah.
because you all are willing to do anything.
Yeah.
Um, can I always just call it like you know, uh, it's kind of just like make shit happen, right? Like you
Yeah.
will just make things happen. You're not, afraid to go into the boards and, go after the puck. But you had actually
Yeah.
played with Tanner at Little Caesars, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something too that like I think we play kind of a similar style. That's also the style like we were kind of taught by our coach, like Chris Draper. Like that's kind of how he was too. Like he would just go out there, he could do anything. Like he could shut down a line, he'd go out there and score. Like I think that's kind of something that we learned from him a lot. Like I played for him a little longer than Tanner, but I think that's something that like we could both. I'm sure he would say the same thing, is that we could both credit like a lot of our play style to our old coach Chris Draper. So.
Were you at any point in times teammates with anybody else on the current roster?
Let me think. I know like I actually Lebster, actually this is a funny story. So I was like called up, like he was in Des Moines and I was called up. I
Yeah.
was called up for like a week or something. I ended up playing in the game. And my first ever assist in the USHL was because of Levy. Like I didn't really do like I mean I dumped the puck and Levy went in, like beat their guys to the puck, like grabbed it, passed it out front, and like we scored, and that was my first assist. And it's funny because everyone's like, oh, like people could see like the score sheet or whatever, like, oh, like first assist, like that's pretty sick. Like what'd you do? And it's like I just dumped the puck, like
Dump the puck.
and I remember it too. But Levy, like I told him about it, and he was like, "Oh, really? Like I don't even remember that." And I was like, obviously, like, I would remember it because like it's my first, and like I'm called up.
It
And
is
stuff
kind of
like
funny
that.
how that works. So I'm watching the Blackhawks preseason game last night, right? I
Yeah.
want to watch Connor Bedard, and he gets an assist. He I don't remember. I think he shot the puck and it just hit off the goalie, bounced to Kurashev, who put it in. Like it
Yeah.
was nothing that he really did. I mean, he got a shot on net. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but on Twitter, everyone's talking, oh yeah, Connor Bedard got an assist, but they didn't show any video of it because they knew
Yeah.
it was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, he got it, but it's not like he really
I mean, he's
generated it.
he'll probably have some more cool ones, so he doesn't
Yeah.
get that one.
Well,
Strips in
he had
everywhere.
the game-winning assist in overtime, though. That was kind of
Yeah.
a sick saucer pass. But
Oh yeah.
last year, you led all forwards in 2 statistical categories. Do you know what they are?
I have no idea. I mean, it's kind of shocking, honestly. But let's
You
hear
led
it.
all forwards in block shots,
Really?
which I love, in game-winning goals.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, that's really cool. Obviously, the block shots thing, like that's something that I try to do a lot. And I even some points last year, like that's also something that's kind of different too. Like it's a lot harder to block shots at this level than it is in like juniors. Like, I mean, in juniors, I could easily block a shot, but now guys like pump fake in, like pull in, like
Yeah.
it's a lot harder. And obviously, they got harder shots too, so it doesn't feel as good. But
And
yeah.
do you notice a change in release point from players as well?
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was saying. Like guys, especially like the top guys, like they can shoot in there. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to toot a bunch of guys' horns here, but like Snuggerud, like that guy's got an insane release, and like, I mean, like just some of the shots and like goals he scored against us, it's like shit, like that's a nice shot right there. And like we got some guys on our team too, like coming in this year. Like I think Larson's got like one of the best releases I've ever seen, like in person. So I'm excited for the fans to see that one actually. So.
Now you got to play against your brother last year. Your brother
Yeah.
he's your twin brother, is that correct?
Twin brother, yep.
And he is at Ferris State. So you all
Ferris.
now how was that before the game? Did you all have any talking back and forth or after the game?
I mean, like we talk every day. Like I'm Snapchatting him, texting him, whatever. Usually, pretty much every day. But obviously, we knew it was coming up, and like it's funny because we were home. It's like you're home for Christmas, the day like 2 days before, and then like you're like, oh yeah, we're flying out. We're gonna play each other now, or not flying out, like driving out. We're gonna be playing each other. So it's like it's funny. But I've played him I think one time or no, maybe twice before in juniors. But it's funny. Like it's so weird because like. I don't know, like it's your brother. You're not like trying to kill him or whatever, but like it's also like we're playing a hockey game here. Like I'm not
Okay.
like going in there like letting him win a battle or something. Like making him look good. Like
If you had the chance, clean check, but a hard check on him, would you do it?
I don't know. It's so hard. It depends on what's going on in the game. Like I'm not trying to blow him up or anything, but I'll obviously put the body on him. I'm not trying to blow him
That's
up or
what I like to
something.
hear.
But
Yeah.
that's my brother. Like we went through like everything together, so it's not like I'm trying to like embarrass him or whatever. But it's funny because we were playing Ferris. Like, I mean, obviously that was a tough game for us, and we were down like whatever 3-0. And I remember lining up next to him against the draw, and like, I mean, like me being like really competitive, like I'm like just rattled, like so mad, and the puck gets dumped in, and he's going around the net, and like I see him going around the net, and I was kind of flying, and I was like, oh, like I'm hitting him. Like I was just so mad, like seeing red. And I kind of tried to hit him like pretty hard actually, but he like spun off it and he was like, yeah, like we talked about it after. He's like, yeah, like I totally saw you coming. Like I knew you were gonna do that and stuff like that. It was funny though.
I'm
I
sure
was
your
just like
parents
so
are.
rattled.
So how do your parents handle that? Does the cheering for both sides, I
I
don't
think
know
it's
how to
cheering for
cheer,
both
you see
sides.
split jerseys sometimes, you see mom cheer for one, dad cheer for the other. Like, how did they handle that?
Yeah, that's something that I want to do actually is get them a split jersey. That'd be cool because we're playing them again this year. Obviously, it's probably a little harder to get a Fair State, Michigan State split. Like I don't know where you'd find that, but I think they're both just kind of rooting like for us, like whoever's out there, like rooting for that person kind of thing. And like I don't know, they're like yeah, exactly, just rooting for us to get
Put them
points
in
or
a
goals
weird
or
spot.
something.
Yeah.
Like they don't want like say like I score when Travis is out there, like they're gonna be a bit happy, but it's also like wait, like Travis just got he was out there too, like that's not good, but.
Now you started last year on the wing, correct?
Yeah, on the way.
And you
Yep.
ended up playing some center near towards, I guess, what was it, in January on or something like that? Is that right?
Yeah, I think yeah. So it was second half of the year I started playing center. I can't remember exactly when,
Do
but
you have any idea? I'm putting you on the spot again here. What your face-off percentage was since then when you took over?
no, I haven't.
Any guesses at all?
I mean, I'd like to think it's above 50. I'd say I don't know. That's what
57%.
I'd like to think. 57.
57 is up there with like one of the better on the team.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But also, like, I wasn't doing it all year. Like, I don't know. If I was doing it all year, maybe it'd be a little bit different. But we'll see. I guess.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but do you think you'll play center or wing this year?
I think center. I mean, we'll see. I think like there's one thing that like Nighty said to me a couple times like last year, like towards the end of the year and like the start of this year, he just said that he likes that I can play wherever. So
Yeah.
we'll see what he decides, I guess. I don't know. Like right now, I think I've been playing center in practice, but it could always change. So.
Yeah, and that's one of those things being versatile. If somebody, gets kicked out or an injury happens, being able to fill in like that, being able to bump up and down the lineup, that's just making you a more valuable player. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. 57% on faceoffs. Look at
Yeah,
you, man. You're learning
I mean,
about
that's one
leading
thing
the
that that's always been like my bread and butter kind of thing is like being good at faceoffs. So I'm
yeah. And
I gotta
I
keep
mean,
up that.
not to sound rude, but most people have the size advantage on you on the dot, and you're still winning 57%. Just
Yeah.
speaks to the skill level this year.
Yeah,
So
that's almost one thing that like I could credit my old coach to. Again, like I don't like. Obviously, I'm talking about him like a bunch here, but like he was so good on faceoffs too when he played in the NHL, and like I don't know, that's something that he always worked with me on and like helped me on, especially if I was struggling. Like he was really good at about like telling me to like switch it up or look for this, like look what they're doing and change it to this kind of thing. So
yeah,
he was really influential in that, and obviously he was really good in the NHL when he did it too. So like helped a lot to be playing with him for however many, I think 7-8 years. So like
yeah.
obviously it's a good teacher there.
So the team has what feels like 38 new players this year. There's transfers. There's a big freshman class coming in. You mentioned Lebster's coming in. He was a guy who was actually committed to Michigan State,
Yeah, I remember.
at, and then went to UMass. Is that correct?
Yeah, he went to UMass. Yeah.
UMass, and now he's back and to finish out his career. Of all of the new guys, who's kind of standing out in practice? And if you don't want to single out any, you know, individual players, you can just kind of give us a little bit of hint of what's going on with some of these new guys in practice.
I mean, it's so hard, and I think like honestly, like in my opinion, like all like our freshmen and new guys, like they look a lot better than like I think I looked last year coming in, and like a lot of them like are pretty comfortable. And I think I don't know, there's no one that I would say is like, hey, this guy's like the best. I think they're all like doing well, and like I don't know, like it's so hard to pick one. I'd say
Yeah.
like obviously like Lev Shinov, like he looks really good. Like I mean, he's supposed to be what like a top 5 pick, so
Yeah.
he's a good player. I
Fre-
mean, obviously like he's
freshman
obviously
did
a good player.
Yeah, he's a freshman defenseman who's projected to go somewhere in the top 5 of next year's draft for anybody out there that
You can see why in practice, and
yeah.
you guys will see it in the games and stuff like that. But I think
See,
we got like a lot of guys that like a lot of skill and like a good mixture of guys that can play the right way, and they're all just like good guys too. Like we've all like I think our team's super close this year. So
yeah, and I did what I'm sure every single professional scout does and went to YouTube and watch a 20-minute highlight of them on YouTube. And I watched his highlight
Yeah.
and immediately I was like, yeah, this is I you know, I always say I'm a fan with a microphone. I'm not some expert. I don't know hockey. I didn't play it, some high level hockey or anything. I just like talking about Michigan State hockey. But there's certain times and certain players you can watch and say, yeah, that guy's gonna play in the NHL. Like he has that type of instinct and that type of skill level, and he's definitely one of those players.
Yeah, he's got the
Um,
build for it too. He's big body, good skater
yeah,
too. So
I mean, that was when I saw that, excuse me, on Twitter that he committed and he signed and whatnot. I was like, okay, like
yeah, it
we
was kind of
knew,
crazy.
and we knew that like Nightingale was doing really well. The transfers he's brought in, the success that you all had last season, it looked different than previous years, and that's nothing against Coach Dayton Cole at all. I always say
Mhm.
there's no
Yeah.
ill will towards him
I mean, he's
whatsoever.
the reason. He's the reason I'm here. So
Yeah.
um,
He's also a big reason that people forget. He's a big, big, big reason why the facilities are the way that they
yeah,
are right now.
for sure.
And I always like to give him credit for that because those facilities are incredible.
Yeah,
I made it
oh,
up
it's beautiful.
for a game last year and got to walk around. And I know that, I saw through the window the offices and the weight room and whatnot. It's absolutely incredible. And that plays a big role in recruiting.
Yeah,
But what Coach Nightingale's been doing and bringing in the recruits, I know we can't talk about any commitments or anything like that, but some of the ones that, future commitments that are lined up right now are I'm trying to tell everyone, man. I am.
yeah,
I'm trying to
you're
tell
killing it.
everyone who's a football, basketball fan, they're all
Yeah,
mad about the football team. I'm like, this is the time. This is the time to
yeah.
dip
I
back
will
into
say,
hockey.
I think that Nighty does a really good job too. But you got to give some credit to D Mike and Townsy. Those guys
Yep.
work hard and they're really good recruiters too. Like
Yeah, and
I think they're
and
both
that's
just like easy to
that's
talk to,
what
easygoing guys.
yeah, and you're right. I should mention them as well. That was told to me by many people, and I actually had both of them on this podcast
Oh, did you?
before last season.
Nice.
So if you have time to burn, you can always go back and listen to their foolish question answers. If you're looking for anything, I think D Mike and I talked about like Breaking Bad or some show that he was watching for a while. Like
Yeah, he's a
we were
beauty.
just chatting about anything but hockey at
Yes.
the end there.
Yeah. No, he's
Um,
a beauty. He's really easy to talk to, and he's like one of the boys. Obviously, he's the coach, but like he can act like one of the boys too.
yeah.
So he's a good dude.
Have you had any of the pizza from Coach Nightingale's pizza oven?
I actually haven't yet. He did a little pizza tailgate for the boys, but I was with some friends at the time and I couldn't really make it over. But I wish I could have. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
obviously I'll get it at some point, but
yeah, yeah. So one thing Michigan State's, and there's no secret to this, Michigan State was not very good at hockey the past, I don't know, decade or whatever it's been. Last year is probably one of the better seasons in quite a while. And throughout the good and the bad over the years, Michigan State's been good at goaltender. We always seem to have a goaltender that's solid. Jake Hildebrand was in there, and the list goes on. And Drew DeRitter and whatnot. This year, Trey Augustine, second round pick of Detroit, is coming in. Really well regarded by a lot of people. What have you seen from him so far in practice? What can you tell us about? A lot of people I hear are new to his name, let alone his play style.
yeah, I mean, first things first, like he's just a really good goalie. Like I don't think there's anything like crazy about him. He's not making these like super flashy saves. He's just super. I think he's just super smart. It's hard to tell, honestly, like what makes him so good. Like I'm not like that intellectual like in the goalie world, but I think he's just so smart. He reads the play so well, and like he's never out of position. Like there's some goalies like I don't know. I'm not going to name names here, but some goalies you can see they're kind of swimming around a little bit in the net and like kind of out of position and always having to dive back or whatever. But he's just so sound and
Yeah.
I don't know. He's
There's
really
a
good and
particular
he'll
goalie
do
that you're
well.
talking about that plays for a different Big Ten team in the past couple of years that I would describe the way that you just described. But we're not going to get
Yeah,
into any names.
I wonder who that could be.
um, Okay, so the way that I see the roster right now, and of course, I haven't seen half these players play, but what I'm noticing just from watching a little bit of what I could find of a lot of these newcomers, reading what I can find about a lot of these highly regarded freshmen, it seems to me just like one of the biggest changes is just the amount of players that can have scoring touch in the lineup on any given night. Go
Yeah.
back 2 years before there was Lewandowski who could score and, a few other players, but it seemed like a lot of dump and chase. There was not a lot of players who you could say, yeah, I would not be surprised at all if he scored tonight.
Yeah.
Last year, we saw a lot more of that, and we saw like a player that I want to individually talk about take his game to a new level. Is that accurate that the team just has a lot more scoring depth than previous years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if like, I guess scoring, yeah, like we have a lot more skill. I'd just say like depth in general. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing that Nighty talked about last year at the end of the year is like told everyone like, hey, like we're bringing in these guys, like going to be a lot more competition for spots, and it's not like a threat or like
Yeah.
it's not trying to say like, hey, these like we're not promising these guys anything, but there's going to be a lot more competition, and I think that's like, I mean, he said that in his interviews too, like this past week, but I think that's just something that helps a lot, especially with practice. Like I don't know, just like more compete and like I don't know, yeah, like you said, like there's going to be more scoring for sure up and down the lineup, and I think that's something that'll help us a lot this year is just tons of depth
Yeah, and that just helps so much. Somebody in the top six gets injured, it's no longer a huge hole.
for
It's
sure.
shifting some guys around. And um, do you all practice on a bunch of different lines with a bunch of different combinations?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
simple answer, yeah, it depends. Like, I mean, they'll switch them up a good amount. I think like they're obviously like it's hard to tell like the perfect lines in practice. So in the
yeah,
games, it's a bit easier, but
yeah,
I think like last year, like we didn't even have lines till like a couple days before the first like that first scrimmage, and it's like even then after that, like they got switched. So it's kind of obviously it's super hard to like know exactly, but I think this year, like especially with the guy like Nighty coming in, like he knows the guys coming back and knows which guys he's bringing in, so it's a little bit easier to find out like what he wants to do. But yeah, we practice with a lot of different guys. So
So I won't ask any other questions about the lineup or anything like that. I won't put you on the spot anymore. But what has been your main focus this off season
for me or for like the team or
for you individually?
I wanted to get a lot faster because I think there's like you said, like you think I'm fast, but I think I could get a lot faster. And there's guys that are faster than me, so that's one thing that me and everyone honestly like wanted to do, and I think that's something that our trainer Will Morlock is like really good at. Is like, I mean, this guy is so smart, like, unbelievably smart, and like I mean, I trust him more than like I trust myself about my body. So he's been doing a really good job because I stayed here over the summer too, like trying to get faster, and then
Yeah.
like you said, like scoring touch too is something that I wanted to work on, just like my shot in general kind of thing, and like different releases, better releases. So that's something that
So
I've been working on
so
speed
you
and scoring.
you mentioned the trainer, Will Morlock, is that his name?
Yeah, Will Morlock. Yeah.
So this is a name I've heard, but I'm not entirely familiar. I know most people listening to this do not know what that looks like. Like, can you just kind of tell us about him, what his role is, and what he does with you all to help you all improve?
I mean, he does so much, and it's kind of crazy too, because like he's just like he's so smart, and it's crazy. But I mean, he does like he'll do our workouts. He like writes all of our workouts. If like guys are hurt or whatever, he writes a different workout for them. Like he does our warm up, cool down, like warm up before the game, practice before the practice, like cool down after practice, after games. And then he also does, we have like heart rate monitors, and he's monitoring those and making sure like, because they can see like all this different information. It's, I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole with that, but it's just like all this information, like how like workloads of like everybody, how hard they were working at practice kind of thing, or like freshness scores, like how fresh guys are and stuff like that. It's crazy, but he's the man behind the whole thing, I think, for
So
sure.
it
Doesn't
ranks
get
you
enough
all like
credit.
it ranks you all like how hard you're working at practice, or
It's
it
like
it it
it's like a
generates a
it's called a
number for you.
player load. Like it's I don't know exactly. It's called a player load through your heart rate and stuff like that. And like it's different for everyone. So it's not like he's like, hey, this guy was working harder than this guy because he had a
Yeah.
player load. It's kind of like individual, like how hard you work compared to like your other
I got
workloads
you.
kind of thing.
So it compares you to you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. That's cool.
Because some guys just have like a naturally higher or whatever. But
so now we're gonna get into some more fun questions, and then we'll get you out of here. Thanks again. It's 4:35 on a Friday afternoon. I hate to do this to you, but I really appreciate it. I know that the people, we're not. I'm not a big podcaster or anything like that, right? We don't have a huge amount of listeners, 200 usually or so, but people keep asking for player interviews. And it's hard to get them because you all are busy. Some of you all don't have Twitter. Like I can't find you, can't DM you on this, that, and the other. Like it's hard to get a hold of some players. So we really appreciate you doing this, but we do want to work through this and get you out of here. So your favorite place to eat on campus?
On campus. Well, like you mean like in like East Lansing kind of?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Let me think. I mean, this is like a sneaky, like this. I guess this isn't in East Lansing, but this place that like me and my roommates really love to go to. It's called Me Sushi. It's really good. We went there last Friday, and then there's also like a pizza place. We always like if we ever get pizza, we go to this place. It's called Clavin's. I think it's not in East Lansing or anything, but it's like 15 minutes from my place. I don't know exactly what city it is, but
so you all are like branching out. You all are not doing the typical like I'm just gonna go down to Peanut Barrel and get food or whatever. Like
I've been to Peanut Barrel, but yeah,
man, I like that. I like the.
I mean, I like the stuff on camp, like downtown too, like Barrio. I love Barrio, but I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, like I don't know, I'd say one of the sushi spots. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good stuff around here, though. You gotta find it.
What is your favorite TV show you've ever watched?
It's got to be Game of Thrones, I think. I mean,
Game of Thrones?
I love Game of Thrones. I love The Office too, but I'd say Game of Thrones is probably my favorite show I've ever watched.
Are you currently watching a TV show?
Not really. I've been. I mean, like it's football season, so I don't watch a ton of TV shows during football season and like school and stuff like that. But me and my roommates, we've been watching Suits actually a lot.
It's on my watch list. I've never watched it before.
Yeah, it's good. I like it a lot.
I'm gonna try.
On season 3, I think so.
I'm gonna give it a try. Football fan, Lions fan, right?
Lions fan, of course. I got my
Lions last night
chilling over there actually. So
yeah. So
Stafford.
Last night's game was awesome.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
I'm not a Lions fan or anything, but I do enjoy watching them because I'm one of those people who have no emotion towards the Lions, like good or bad. So it's good to see everyone I follow on Twitter enjoying football.
I actually went to the game on last Sunday. So
oh yeah,
it was awesome. It was a great time. It was unreal. It was so rowdy too, so loud.
It feels like there's a life back in Lions fans
for sure. Yeah,
like I think Dan Campbell's a great coach. They have, the offense is clicking. Like Jared Goff is better than like what he was kind of built out to be when he came over.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a fun team.
Yeah.
Your prediction for who will win the Goofus Award this year?
Goofus Award. I mean, I think obviously like the favorite's got to be Morsey, right? Like he's won it 2 or 3 years in a row now. Yeah. But sneaky, I think Crossman, one of the new guys, he's up there. He's a funny guy. He's always joking around and stuff. He's a good dude.
Yeah, who is? I don't want this to sound negative or anything, but who's like the most serious guy on the team?
Most serious,
like the opposite of who would win the Goofus Award.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone can mess around a little bit. Like, I'd say, one guy that when I first came here, I was like, oh well, this guy's super serious. Is Davidson? He's super serious, but he also he messes around all the time too. So you just gotta kind of get to know him. Lebster, he's pretty serious, but he's also I don't know. It's so hard. Like, there's no one that's way too serious for you. Like, oh, this guy needs to chill out. It's they're serious, but in a good way.
Does anybody have any strange pregame superstitions?
Not that I can think of, really. No. I mean, I'm also I play sewer before the games, soccer before the game. So I'm always upstairs. And then we didn't have a ton of guys that did that last year. So I'm not around these guys all the time, before games. But maybe we got some new weird ones this year. I could see that happening.
I hope so.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it seems like every team dynamic, whether it be an office dynamic, a family dynamic, or a hockey team dynamic, you need a little bizarre. You need
Yeah, for
something
sure.
strange mixed in there. You need to look at something and go like, I don't know what I think about that. That's what I
Yeah.
want from like a weird superstitious person on the
Yeah.
team.
We'll see. We'll see if we got one this year.
All
A good
right.
one.
If you didn't play hockey, what sport would you play?
Oh gosh. I mean, I played baseball when I was younger. And I mean, I wasn't like crazy good or anything, but I was decent. So I'd say baseball. I always loved baseball, but one sport that I wish I could have played when I was younger is football. Like hockey dominated my life, so I couldn't really play a ton. But
Yeah.
football is like, I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have been that good because I'm like not that big. But football is like one sport that I wish I could have played.
Yeah. Oh, I meant to ask earlier, I forgot. So we'll kind of circle back off the fun questions. And the player that I said I wanted to talk about is Mueller. He went from 6 or 8 points a season, kind of bottom of the lineup, a solid player, don't get me wrong, but nothing like what we saw last year. And
Yeah,
we saw just a complete explosion. Led the team in points, was on the power play, penalty kill, could win faceoffs. I mean, he literally could do anything. And it seemed like he was in that position to be trusted at any moment. And he comes back this season. And I thought, I don't want to sound like cheesy or anything, but like that seems like one of the bigger additions is
for
him being
sure.
able to come back. And I just wanted to see if you could speak on him at all and to kind of tell us a little bit about him because it seems like everyone likes him. And he just took his game to a new level. It's like they just something clicked. They
Yeah.
unlocked, the coaching staff unlocked something with him or something.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like everyone likes him. Like Nico's like the nicest guy on the team. I think. You never have a problem with Nico, but I don't know. Like he's not like whatever. He's not the fastest guy. He's just so smart. Like I mean, he's the smartest, like one of the smartest players I've ever played with. I think, and he's so like just good like with his stick and like I don't know. That's one play like you said like he can be trusted in any situation. Like he plays power play, penalty kill. Like he's out there to the end of the game. Like he's super strong on pucks. Like that's one player that I kind of like look up to and like kind of try to model my game after a little bit is because like as Nico, it's just he's like can do anything like you said. Like I don't know, and it's not like he's like whatever got this like crazy hard shot or like blowing by guys
Yeah.
like in the neutral zone or whatever. He's just like so solid everywhere. I think, and that's just I mean you can't underestimate how like important that is for a team like we have. So
Yeah, especially with the amount of, freshmen coming in and sophomores on the team. And I think the smallest class is junior. And,
yeah,
there's transfers and whatnot. But like just having that guy who's been around
for
and
sure.
kind of a stable force who's been there forever and like you said, can play in any position needed in the game is so
Yeah,
big
and
for a team.
he's like an assistant captain this year, and I wouldn't say he's like the loudest guy in the locker room, whatever, but like just the way he plays and like the way he goes about like his business, like everyone can learn something from him, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on here
yeah, of
with
course.
with me. I'm sure that everyone will appreciate it. We are going to make notes of those two restaurants and see
Me,
see if we can find
sushi,
them.
and Clavins, but now everyone's gonna be there, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna have
that's
to
what I was
make
going to say. Like,
reservations and stuff.
like when you say everybody, I mean there's 200 people that listen to this, but I don't know if it's going to quite qualify as everybody. But thanks again, and best of luck this season as well.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.